On the afternoon of November 4th, 2025, UPS Flight 2976 departed from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky, bound for Honolulu, carrying cargo and 3 crew members aboard a McDonnell Douglas MD 11F, just minutes after takeoff. Cameras captured visible flames on one of the wings or engines during the initial climb. Although the investigation is still in its early stages, it is already possible to outline a plausible scenario of the causes that led to the accident, combining technical, human, and operational factors in a rapid and tragic sequence. The presence of fire during takeoff indicates a critical failure, possibly in one of the engines. In a tri-jet like the MD-11, the failure of a single engine alone should not have caused the loss of the aircraft, as the remaining 2 engines are sufficient to maintain flight. However, experts indicate that in this case, the initial damage may have gone beyond a simple propulsion failure, compromising the structural integrity of the wing or fuel system. If the fire affected hydraulic or electrical lines, the aircraft could have quickly become uncontrollable. The MD-11 is known in aviation circles as a demanding aircraft, designed as an evolution of the DC-10. Its longer fuselage and smaller tail surface make it less stable in certain conditions, especially during heavy operations. Flight 2970 XS takeoff was a long-haul departure to Hawaii, requiring a full fuel load and high total weight, conditions that reduce performance margins in the event of an engine failure. Even with 2 engines operating, the high weight and runway conditions may have prevented adequate climb, making a safe return to the airport impossible. The failure may have occurred just after decision speed, V1, the point at which the crew can no longer safely abort the takeoff. Hearing a loud bang and seeing the fire, the pilots would have been forced to continue. Every second became crucial, maintaining directional control, adjusting flaps and thrust, and following the engine out emergency procedure. But if the fire compromised the hydraulics or control surfaces, the airplane's responsiveness would have been lost. The MD-11 relies heavily on its 3 independent hydraulic systems. If 2 were damaged, control authority is severely limited. The possibility of engine separation is also being considered. Such an event can rupture fuel lines and ignite a rapidly spreading fire along the wing. Additionally, the aerodynamic impact of losing an entire engine is severe, altering the aircraft balance. The MD-11 involved was about 34 years old, and while UPS maintenance adheres to strict standards, the aging of structural components could have contributed. Cargo aircraft of this generation, often converted or operating under high cycles of stress and load, require meticulous inspections to prevent fatigue failures. Meanwhile, the crew face a chaotic scenario: alarms, smoke, power loss, and potential control failure. In cargo operations, often at night or during alternating shifts, human factors such as fatigue can influence performance under stress. There is no evidence of gross human error, but in complex emergencies, even correct decisions can be insufficient when reaction time is measured in seconds. Cockpit management, pilot-to-co-pilot communication, and proper execution of engine-out checklists are all critical points investigators will examine closely. The MD-11 has been involved in other accidents during takeoff or landing, some attributed to design characteristics and others to task overload in critical situations. Its reputation as a demanding aircraft stems from its sensitivity to minor control failures at decisive moments. In this UPS flight, the visible fire and rapid loss of lift suggest extensive and immediate damage. Even with 2 remaining engines, the aircraft's aerodynamic integrity seems to have been lost. Witnesses report that the plane attempted to gain altitude but could not rise more than a few hundred feet before tipping and crashing into an industrial area near the runway threshold, resulting in an explosion and secondary fires. The speed with which the disaster unfolded supports the hypothesis of catastrophic failure across multiple systems, not just the engine. If the fire reached wing sections containing fuel, the likelihood of internal explosion was high, making loss of control inevitable. NTSB investigators have already recovered the cockpit voice and flight data recorders, which should confirm whether there was explosion or structural separation before impact. Maintenance history, inspection records, and cargo type will also be examined, as flammable materials or lithium batteries can exacerbate onboard fires. The aim is to determine whether the fire was a result of mechanical failure or originated in the cargo compartment, a possible scenario in freighter aircraft. The combination of technical and human factors forms the backdrop of this tragedy. An aircraft with limited performance and failures, a potentially damaged engine, compromised systems, and split-second decisions under extreme stress. Even experienced pilots, faced with such a sudden emergency, encounter narrow margins between control and total loss of the aircraft. The aviation community is already discussing the need to review operational protocols for older aircraft like the MD-11, especially on long-haul routes and heavy takeoffs. Every fragment recovered and every second of recorded data will help reconstruct the exact sequence of events. In the meantime, the UPS Flight 2976 accident adds to the list of painful reminders that in aviation, even a single failure, when combined with unfavorable conditions, can transform into catastrophe within seconds. The final report will take months, possibly over a year, to complete. But it is already possible to say that the accident resulted from a convergence of extreme events: severe technical failure, high fuel load, critical MD-11 behavior, and emergency and possibly structural damage. The visible fire immediately after takeoff and the inability to maintain altitude indicate that the aircraft rapidly exceeded any margin for recovery. The tragedy, still surrounded by questions, will serve as another painful study of the limits of engineering and human response in total system collapse. This accident highlights the importance of safety and analyzing every detail in aviation. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow more in-depth analyses, flight stories, and crucial lessons from the world of aviation.